The Championship season isn't over yet, but the rumour mill is well and truly open. Welcome back to the Championship transfer rumour roundup. Plenty to discuss in today's video. Players being linked away from the Championship, players being linked to the Championship. As always, any other transfer rumours that you've seen going around, make sure to get them in the comments down below and we'll have a bit of a chat about them next time. But without any further ado, let's jump into some rumours. And the first one is a big one. Pedro's move to Brighton looks to be all but over the line. Still yet to be officially confirmed, but it does seem as if this deal is on the cards, and what's currently being discussed is the fact that Pedro is unlikely to take part in Watford's last game of this Championship season, so that there's no sort of hiccups in getting this deal over the line. I think every Watford fan expected this to happen when they weren't promoted this year, or getting into the top six and being competitive. Pedro was always going to be that next player off to the Premier League, and I think he's justified that move. 21 years old, 11 goals, 4 assists this season, but those stats don't actually do him justice for how good he's actually been for this struggling Watford side this season. Statistically the best dribbler in the league this year. I know there was a clip on social media doing the rounds of Paul Merson discussing Pedro and how he's been a little bit hit and miss for Watford of late. I don't think that's got much truth to it, to be honest. I think in a failing system and quite a chaotic environment, it's often been Pedro to try and drag things together in terms of his impressive output this season, but definitely passes the eye test. And moving to a club like Brighton, who have been so good at bringing up younger players, recruitment and developing them, I think that could be the perfect environment for him to thrive in. So real shame that we'll be losing him from the Championship, but richly deserved move nonetheless. Now this move will depend on what happens with Coventry come the end of this season, as they're still well in with a chance of playing Premier League football next season, but Viktor Gyokeres is being linked with a move away from the club at the moment. There was plenty of rumours with him in January, even the summer before, and Burnley have been the latest club to really throw their hat in the ring as interested for the Swedish forward. 31 goal contributions in the Championship this season with 21 goals and 10 assists. And looking at Burnley's squad, a striker or two is an obvious area where they're looking to add to their team going into the Premier League next season, with Ashley Barnes seemingly on his way out. Someone like Gyokeres I think will be a really effective player in that Vincent Kompany side. The way he's able to drop deep, link the play, dribbling really good, and great creative numbers on top of his finishing as well. There's no doubt that in one way or another, I think Gyokeres will be playing Premier League football next season. And Coventry, could be in for a bit of a whirlwind in terms of the money coming in for him, and maybe Gustavo Hamer if he's off as well. Now this one's got quite a bit to it. Chris Willock being linked with a move to Rangers. There's no doubt that Willock's output has significantly dropped off in the second half of the season, and under Beale at the start of the year and going back into last season as well, was one of the most productive forwards in the Championship. Brilliant to watch, but injuries haven't helped, changing of managers and styles also on top of that, and really just a loss of form as well. He's got one more year to run on his contract at QPR, given the style of play they're going with Ainsworth at the moment. If they are going to be sticking with him going into next season, I do think Willock will be a player who will be off in the summer. Now Beale himself has commented on these rumours and said that there's no truth in them, and that Rangers won't be looking to take advantage of any previous relationships that Beale may still have with anyone at QPR and looking to sign any of their players. But I'm sure that QPR fans will be a little bit wary of that, with things that Beale has said in the past that just haven't turned out to be true. So time will tell on that one, but in terms of what we can see on a surface level, I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers are sniffing around a player like Willock. One Championship playmaker who does look to be off to Rangers though is Norwich's Dowell. He is out of contract at the end of the season, and this one had been rumbling on for a few weeks, and going off the latest reports does seem to be quite close. I'd be interested to get some Norwich takes on this one down below. Dowell has been a little bit of a frustrating player throughout his time at Carrow Road, because on his day, very talented player. I remember when Norwich came to Deepdale earlier in the season and put 4 goals past us. Dowell was one of the best players on the pitch that day, orchestrating things, really good when given a licence to roam in between the lines, and he can play a little bit of a free role. But 5 goals and 3 assists this season. He's only started in 14 Championship matches, and that's really been the problem with Dowell while in the Norwich City shirt, just not been able to keep himself fit for a sustained amount of time. So Rangers, after another creative outlet, someone like Dowell can be really effective when he does get that consistent run of games about him, but injuries haven't helped. Speaking of injury-prone creative Championship players, Nick Powell is out of contract with Stoke in the summer, and he has been linked with a surprise return to Wigan. Only started 8 Championship matches this season, 16 appearances off the bench. He's got 4 goals in that time. Everything we just said about Dowell can probably be applied to Powell as well. When he's fit, he gets a bit of consistency about his play. He can be absolutely fantastic. A couple seasons ago, had his most productive season in the Championship with Stoke, scoring 12 goals and getting 3 assists. But Wigan's interest does surprise me a little bit. Going off salary sport, Powell's believed to be on 19 grand a week right now at Stoke. I don't think he'd get that sort of contract anywhere else, but I'd be surprised if Wigan can outlay anywhere near a contract like that heading into League One at the moment. So Powell's an interesting one. I expect him to get a Championship move though. Plenty of Premier League clubs are being linked to Bristol City's Alex Scott right now, and this one is expected to be a little bit of a bidding war. Obviously, the winner of the Championship Young Player of the Year award, a supremely talented player at just 19 years old. That Premier League move is expected to follow in the summer. The likes of Brighton, Brentford, Leeds, Newcastle, Everton, Liverpool, Forest all been linked, as well as a whole host of clubs from around Europe as well. And this will be a chance for Bristol City, while they will likely be losing a supremely talented youngster like Scott, is a chance to get a little bit more money into their pockets there and be able to reinvest a little bit of that throughout the squad. Ross McCrory of Aberdeen is being linked with a move to Bristol City. Rangers also among the clubs who are interested. Now we are talking quite a bit of money that's being bandied about at the moment, a couple million at least that it will take to get this sort of deal over the line. His profile is quite interesting though. He's played most of his games as a centre half this season, but has also turned out as a right back, right wing back, and even holding midfielder as well, so plenty of versatility about him. And could a reunion be on the cards for Joe Bryant at Bristol City? They're amongst plenty of Championship clubs who are interested in signing the Fulham defender on a free transfer this summer. The likes of Blackburn, Cardiff, Millwall, Stoke and Swansea have also been mentioned for the left back. Only 29 years old, he's not played that much football this season, particularly while out on loan at Nice in France. Only really been handed a handful of opportunities, but at 29 years old and with a plethora of experience, a couple promotions on his CV with Fulham as well, you can definitely see why a lot of clubs will be looking at this deal. Understandably so, Middlesbrough are interested in securing a permanent deal for Cameron Archer heading into the summer transfer window, with Aston Villa said to value him at over 20 million. Now with that sort of figure, I think the only way this deal would come off is if Middlesbrough were promoted via the playoffs. They had that little bit more to play around with, restructuring their squad for the Premier League. In terms of Archer, I've been really impressed with him. He scored 10 goals for this Borough side since signing in January. He's actually been the 8th biggest XG overperformer in the league, and like I said, he's only been there since January, which really speaks to the consistency of his finishing. Understandably so, Villa do rate him very highly, but with the way they're going at the moment and knocking on the door for Europe, whether or not there's still a place in that Villa setup for a player like Archer to come back into, it remains to be seen, and they may look to cash in on him while his value is still high after this impressive loan spell with Middlesbrough. Very interesting transfer rumour. Burnley have been linked with the move for Norwich City's Millett. Now he has spent the season out on loan with Galatasaray in the Turkish league this season. He's got 4 goals and 5 assists, and before he signed for Norwich, his stock was fairly high. He was coming off the back of some really quite solid seasons in the Bundesliga with Werder Bremen, so does have experience in Europe's top leagues, but it was just that season with Norwich in the Premier League that just didn't go to plan whatsoever, and you could argue that the environment maybe wasn't there or wasn't right for him to go ahead and thrive in, but I'm sure a few Burnley fans would be a little bit wary of this sort of deal because of how that spell with Norwich went. He is still a Norwich player, and I'm sure that from a Norwich point of view they'd be looking to cash in on what they can for him and try and get anything back on the original investment that they paid for him. And Burnley have also been linked with a move for Manchester City's James McAtee. It'll be interesting to see if company does use his City connections once again with Burnley now up in the Premier League. Obviously, McAtee's enjoyed a really good loan spell with the Blades. It'll be interesting to see if they are interested in throwing their hat in the ring for the youngster. 20 years old, attacking midfielder, 8 goals, 3 assists this season in the Championship. Particularly useful for Sheffield United in the second half of the season. And I mean, yeah, with company's relationship with Man City, you can see where this sort of rumour will have come from. But guys, there we have it, a quick instalment of the Championship transfer rumour roundup. Some of the biggest transfer rumours which are currently flying about the league. We'll have more of these spilling in over the next few weeks, and when the transfer window does open, that's when the fun properly does begin. If you did go on to enjoy today's video though, make sure to leave a like and get any other rumours that you've seen at your club in the comments down below, and we'll have a bit of a chat about them next time. Apart from that though guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.